Hey guys, it's Miss Ford, and today is the last day of summer, so you can see I'm rocking my awesome PJs. Molly's chilling on the couch with me. So, since it's the last day of summer, I thought I would share with you guys the books I've been reading. Clearly, it's never enough, but I'll show you what I have. So, Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I think that's how you say her name. Sorry, my webcam's being weird. So I just read Raven Boys. It's a pretty good read. It's like a B+. It does have moments in it where you're like, what the heck is going on? It's got a little bit of love story, but not a ton of love story. It's essentially the story of a girl who can increase psychic powers, and she goes with these boys to find this ancient legend, Glendower, and it kind of turns into this really awesome adventure story. I really like it. I'm a huge fan of Maggie Stiefvater. I was listening to the audiobook Dream Thieves, but the narrator is kind of so I'm going to have to, when we get back to the media center, check it out. Alright, cool. That's book 1. So book 2, we got into the media center a couple months ago. It's The Cure for Dreaming. I am a big fan of, Kat Winters. I loved Shadow of the Blackbird, super obsessed with it. I wasn't into this book as much. Sorry, Molly's tail just flicked in the background. I thought that The Cure for Dreaming, it didn't have a ton of plot. It really didn't suck me in, but I did finish the book, so there you go. It's essentially the story of this girl who is hypnotized by, a hypnotist, and her father wants her to be more ladylike, but she does not. She's kind of trying to move toward women's suffrage, and it's kind of the story about her and the hypnotist. It's, turn of the century. It's kind of a story of wills, is she going to get what she wants? Is she going to be able to promote women's rights? Or is her father going to bring her down? You'll have to read it to find out. Alright. This was actually probably my favorite read of the summer. It's a picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Surprisingly, have not read this yet. One of my students read it and said, Miss Ford, this book rocks, you have to read it. And I've been watching Penny Dreadful. For those Penny Dreadful fans out there, it's so good. This was super creepy. Lots of twists and turns. Lots of, what moments. I highly suggest it. It was a pretty easy read. I read it in about a week. The writing in it is superb. It's great for guys and girls. It's essentially the story of Dorian Gray. And he wants to be young forever. So most of you guys probably know the story about the picture and kind of the basics behind it because it is a classic. Really good, really creepy. It's got some murder in there, some good twists and turns. It really kept me interested. Alright. I said I read a lot over the summer. I did. Like I said, for me, not enough. Alright, so now we're on to book 4. So during the summer, I always go to Minnesota for 2 weeks in this town called Duluth, which is right on Lake Superior. I'm a huge Lake Superior Great Lakes nerd because something about them is so mysterious, and you just think about, oh my gosh, these lakes are so huge. You get to watch these huge ships come in, so I become kind of obsessed with it. So November Fury is a story about a Great Lakes storm in 1913. Essentially, they didn't know what was going to happen, and it kind of turns into a huge hurricane. Basically, they have 80-mile-an-hour winds, and now you have all these ships out on the lake. It's a story of shipwrecks. I'm kind of a nerd about shipwrecks, so if you're into kind of like mystery, storms, if you're a nerd about ships like I am, I thought this book was really cool. You can borrow it from me if you just ask. No big deal. Again, one of my favorites. Even though I'm not a huge nonfiction reader, this one really caught my attention. So this one I heard about on NPR. It's called Sting of the Wild, and it's written by this guy that basically gets stung for science. He's been stung by tons of different animals, tons of different bugs. So this is about basically the bugs you'll find in your backyard. Ants, hornets, wasps. It tells you about their stings, about their venom. Each chapter is about a different one. There are fire ants in there. It talks about how annoying they are. I learned more about paper wasps and ants than I would ever want to know, but it was really interesting and it kind of sucked me in. Highly suggest it. And then at the end of the book, he has a chart that rates every insect he's been stung by, what the stings feel like, and which was the worst. So pretty cool. All right, last but not least, again, I told you guys I go up to Duluth every year, so those of you who know me know I was a history teacher, so I get really interested in the different types of buildings because a lot of the buildings are super old. Duluth was founded in the mid-1800s, so there's a lot of old, cool buildings, but this is about the buildings that were lost over time. I'll show you. This is a theater. It tells you the history of the buildings. It also is like kind of a picture book where it shows you the different buildings, what they look like, old pictures, explains them. This is one talking about Minnesota steel. It talks about the process of steel and the steel monopolies. I just thought it was pretty interesting and cool. It gives you a more local picture of history. It's less about details and more about like the buildings, what they represented in the town. So I thought this one was pretty cool. All right. And right now I'm reading An Ember and Ashes. I'm on page 133. If you guys are a Divergent or Hunger Games fan, I highly suggest this book. It's super good so far. And my plan for the last day of summer is to sit on the couch and read the rest of it. Anyway, I hope you guys had a great summer. The Media Center remodel is done. Woo! Come in and visit us. We'd love to see you. I miss everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye.